Hello guys, welcome back to KD Code. In the previous video, we have discussed the problem statement, how to find min-max in an array. We have discussed approach 1 in that video. We'll be discussing approach 2 in this video. Before going to approach 2, we'll be discussing about time complexity and space complexity for approach 1. The time complexity for approach 1 is big O of n log n because we have used only two statements in the approach 1. In the first statement, we just sorted the array. So sorting takes big O of n log n time. And the second statement is just returning the min-max elements or just printing it in the console. So it takes big O of 1. So if we add both, big O of 1 is negligible when compared to big O of n log n. So finally, big O of n log n is the total time complexity for approach 1. Coming to the space complexity, we didn't use extra space other than the array that we have taken as input. So that space complexity is a big O of 1. Now let's discuss about approach 2. In the approach 2, we will be considering two variables. One is for minimum element and one is for maximum element. These are the temporary variables where we will iterate over the array to discover which is the minimum element and which is the maximum element. Let's see how it works. We'll be taking one minimum element variable in which we'll be considering the first element in the array as minimum element and the second element of the array as maximum element. We will be iterating all our other remaining elements in the array and comparing one by one with these minimum and maximum elements that we are storing in the minimum and maximum variables. So we'll be iterating from third element to the last element of the array and comparing them with both the variables minimum element and maximum element here. While comparing with the minimum element, if the value of any element in the array is less than the minimum element value we are considering, then we will assign that array value to the minimum element here. In the same way, if any array value is greater than the maximum element value we are considering here, then we will assign the array value to the maximum element value here. So in the same way, we will iterate over all the elements in the array until the last element. Finally, we'll be getting the minimum and maximum elements of the array. Either we can return them or just print them. Let's discuss about time complexity and space complexity for this approach. Here the time complexity is big O of n because if you see, we are using one for loop and other remaining statements are kind of assigning and comparing statements. So the for loop is having a big O of n complexity and all other statements is having a big O of 1 complexity. By adding all of them, we can say big O of 1 is negligible when we compare with big O of n. So the final time complexity is big O of n. Coming to the space complexity, we are using two variables min and max elements and we are not using any arrays here. So the space is big O of 1. If we are using any kind of arrays, then the space complexity will become big O of n. So that's it for this approach. This is the Python solution here I have explained here. Let's run this. Let's take the input 3, 5, 7, 8, 2, 1. So the minimum value is 1 and the maximum value is 8 in this case. Let's see the same logic in C++. This is the function I have defined. The same approach, like we'll be taking the minimum element and maximum element, taking the first element in the array as minimum and the second element of the array as the maximum element, iterating over all the other elements of the array. We can even iterate over all the elements either from the first index or from third index. Anyway, it will be having big O of n complexity. And at last, we'll be printing the minimum and maximum elements here. Let's run this. I'm running this approach 2 now. Taking inputs 3, 5, 7, 8, 4, 1. That's it. /n. So the minimum value is 1 and the maximum value is 8 here. In this case also we got the correct results as we are using the same approach here in C++. Let's see in Java. C++ and Java more or less will be having same syntax. Here also I'm taking a first element of the array as minimum value and the second element of the array as the maximum value and iterating over the array to find out which one is minimum and which element is maximum. And at last I'm printing the minimum and maximum elements here. Let's run this file. Taking inputs 3, 4, 7, 8, 1, 5. Let us give 0 here because we need to stop taking inputs as I have defined the same way in the main function. I have taken the logic like if we give 0, we have to stop taking inputs like that. So let's give 0 at last. So 0 is not considered as element and here the minimum element is 1 and the maximum element is 8. As I was saying here in the while loop, I'm not using 0 as the input. If the user enters 0 as input, you have to stop taking inputs from the user. That's it. So that's it for the approach 2 now. If you understand the video, please subscribe. And if you have any doubts, comment down below. Like the video, share the video. Thank you.